before I started working with Kristine, I was sort of cobbling a lot of things together. I was working sort of a temp job that turned into a day job, and I was doing a lot of freelance theater directing in the evenings and on the weekends, and I was starting to get a little bit of traction, and I was working quite a bit, and I was just sort of really burning the candle at both ends, and I wasn't really able to figure out how to turn the good work that I was doing into something that would lead to something else and something bigger and more lucrative. And I guess I was just sort of thinking that, oh, well, if I just work really hard, someone will notice. And, that's kind of, I thought sort of Hollywood was very merit-based, like all you have to do is be good and it'll be awesome for you. And I just wasn't really, I was happy with myself in the sense that I was proud of what I was doing, but I wasn't satisfied in terms of what my career looked like and what my future looked like. And I don't even remember how I even heard about her, but there's just something about her that said to me, like, this woman will get me, like, and I get her too. And I felt that she was really, really relatable and really, really smart and really, really wise, and at the same time very, very approachable. I was trying to remember how long ago I started working with her, and I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years. I'd sort of have to look it up. It's not been continuous throughout the time, and of late, which I just did last month, I sometimes just kind of go back for tune-ups. There are certain things that she's been saying to me since the day I met her, and one of those things is sort of owning your own greatness, and I think it was one of those things where intellectually I could tick off all the boxes and go, yes, I've accomplished this, and I do that, and I'm this, and I'm amazing, and but like I didn't ever kind of believe it viscerally, and I'm still not there, but it's really different now than, when it was when I first started with her, and really like having this sense of not being ashamed to ask for what I want. And that has changed. I went to her for professional reasons, but it's actually changed a lot of things for me in my personal life too. And, when we last talked, she's like, it's so good to see you doing the things that you're doing. Because I called her about a really positive thing, not a crisis, but I was like, what do I do? And is this the right thing? Like, should I like risk this thing and risk my heart getting broken because I don't get it? And she was like, yeah, you should totally risk your heart getting broken. It's worth it. And you're at a place where you own the fact that you're totally 1,000,000% right for what you're going for, which isn't where I was before. Before I'd be like, oh, I don't know, maybe they won't like me, I know I have all these things, but I was just finding like 1,000 reasons why somebody wouldn't want to work with me. I think first and foremost, she relates to the situation. You can tell that she is in that place of like, I know what that feels like. Like I've been there. But then there's also just this sort of like unpacking the way you're thinking about something. And she's really, really good at that if you're open to it. And I think I've always been open to it. And again, goes back to that intellectual versus visceral thing of like, yeah, all of the words that you're saying are true. But do I then move on to the next step of actually believing it without effort? There's this ongoing, continuous process. And so I don't know what it's like for other people to work with her, but there's a lot of, especially in the beginning of a session, there's just a ton of really attentive listening to just sort of let you kind of get the whole situation on the table. And then she just has a way of sort of I don't know, helping you like step back and go, okay, so what are the really important things about all of this? And then, you know, as you work and talk, she's just a mountain of encouragement, which is, of course, a plus. But, you know, just what is the plan? And I don't mean just like the to-do list, but it's some more about like, how are you going to be in this situation going forward? I don't think it really matters if you're a director going to her or a writer going to her. I think that what she's good at doing, while talking within the language of entertainment or whatever it might be, because she's been there in those specific trenches, I think she's really good at what is the human situation in what you're going through and who you're dealing with. And that is the same for everyone. It doesn't matter what you do. And so I think that she just has this, I don't know, empathy is a decent word to describe it. It's not the perfect word, because that sounds a little bit like, oh, I get it, you know, and it's not like that at all. It's just like, yeah, that's human, that's valid. You know, the situation around you is maybe horrible. However, you know, it's a little bit of, it's empathy with a lot of rationality to go along with it. And then just, I think, a big overarching understanding of human behavior. She would always say there are two kinds of people in your life. There are people who are your people, and there are people who are not your people. That's it. And when you sort of do that math, you go, oh, right. And if they're not my people, then me doing all my sort of goody two-shoes things to make them like want me or like me or validate me or give me a promotion, it doesn't make any difference. And that's fine. And that was a big lesson for me, is to be like, oh, all right, they're not my people. So I'll burn as few calories as possible on them and burn more calories over here. And that's good. I mean, I would say if someone was on the fence about working with Kristine, I don't know, my guess is it would be maybe because it's financially difficult, you know, to afford it and things like that. And I was in that place too. I mean, it wasn't easy for me when I first started with her to, you know, go as much as I wanted to and do all that stuff. But, you know, it's a funny thing, because I realize that it is money well spent, because it's not just, it's really about taking care of yourself in a way that, you know, we all go out to a couple of dinners and, you know, treat ourselves, or, you know, buy a bunch of clothing that we don't never wear, you know, and we do those kinds of things constantly to make ourselves feel better. And for some reason, sometimes, you know, coaching or maybe therapy, or not that this is therapy, but just those kinds of really self-care things feel self-indulgent, and we talk ourselves out of them. And I have to say, I every minute that I have spent with her has been worth everything I paid her and more. So, I mean, my mind first goes to that with people, because I know a lot of people struggle and we're artists and stuff like that. So from that standpoint, I get it, but that's what I would say to them. And in terms of what you're going to get out of working with her, particularly if you really want to create change, there just isn't any reason not to go.